Back in 2023, I broke up with a girl that I was dating, and we were together for 2.5 years. We were living together, or for like 6 months towards the end. We had moved from Washington, D.C. That's where we met. That's where I'm from. That's where she was living at the time when we met. And we lived there for about 2 years. Like, she was living at her brother's house, who was older, like 10 years older than her. And I was living with my parents. This was around COVID. We started dating, and then 2 years go by. She gets a job in Seattle, so we moved to Seattle together. And for me, I was already questioning whether or not I wanted to be in this relationship. I wanted to go travel. There was like so much of me that I hadn't discovered yet. At that point in my life, I was 23 years old. I felt like my life was, you know, just beginning basically. And she gets this job in Seattle. So I tag along because I'm like, this could be like a fun adventure, basically. I'm gonna live with a girl for the first time in my life. I'm gonna see what happens. There's like a fluff flying around. I'm gonna see what happens. Um, that's gonna be like a interesting learning experience. I'm gonna go to Seattle, and I've never been to Seattle. I've never lived there. That'll be an adventure as well. Just discovering, like exploring a new city, that type of stuff. And we get to Seattle. It's like June 2023 or 2022. Sorry, 2022. We get there, and the weather's amazing. Summer in Seattle is amazing. It's like sunny and blue skies like every day. Um, we got this apartment right next to this big lake in the middle of the city. I think it's called Union Lake or something like that. And everything is kind of nice. We're getting furniture for the apartment. We're exploring the city. Weed was legal or is legal in Seattle, so I was getting weed. I was like excited about that. Just like, cool, I'm gonna just go to a store and buy weed legally. I thought that was like really, really cool. So yeah, things were kind of cool, for a few months. And then, a few months go by and things kind of settle in to the routine. Um, she's working at her job, and I'm kind of just doing my thing. I was working full time, fully remote for this company. And my routine is sort of like every week becomes like copy and paste, kind of, copy and paste. And it was around October 2022 I started really feeling like, man, like this is, or even earlier, I think 20, like September, even August. It was really hitting me where I'm like, dude, like I'm a young guy, 23 years old at that point in my life. And my girlfriend was already, or my ex-girlfriend, right? But she was talking about buying a house soon. She was talking about buying property in Seattle, and really like settling down type of stuff. And I just kept pushing it off. I was like, ugh, like that's not, like, we'll see. We'll think about it. We'll think about it. Give it some time. We haven't even lived here for a full year yet. Like, let's see if we like it. But deep down, I was like, that's not the life I want. Just this like life that I already know about. You know what I mean? Like, how like life, you can kind of just like predict how life is gonna go when you get into that routine. You kind of can predict like, yeah, next week's probably gonna be the same as this past week, and that's kind of how life was going for me. Like, we were in this relationship. Work was all routine. I was doing my self improvement stuff. I was like going out. I was going to the gym. I was playing guitar a lot, just doing music. But life became very, very monotonous and routine. And even our relationship at that point took a toll. There was certain things. I mean, like sexually, it was not that fun. It was pretty miserable. Um, yeah, sex was just kind of like boring, man. kind of like forced. I wasn't even attracted to her as much anymore. My girlfriend also, she kind of became this like, living with her, you get to understand somebody differently. And my girlfriend, she would work her day job and then she would just like watch TV basically, and then like look at clothes online. And I was kind of like unattracted to that. I was like, that's like gross. Like do something, like have hobbies, like go to the gym at least, like do something, but she wasn't really doing anything. And yeah, I life kind of was like that for a while. I kind of realized like life was gonna be like that for a while. And I thought about it. I was like, dude, like I want my life to have like a lot of rich experiences. I want my life to be colorful with different experiences. I was listening to a lot of Tame Impala at that time. I definitely recommend him if you haven't listened to him. He has a lot of songs specifically about this, about like being on the cusp of a breakup and thinking a lot about breaking up, but being scared of doing it. And that's where I was at. I was really scared because I knew I needed to break up with this girl to evolve into the man that I wanted to be. But I was so scared, dude. Dude, I'm actually like tearing up. I was really fucking scared. And I was calling my mom every day, my grandma, like my dad and stuff. I was calling them every day, just trying to understand life. Like I was talking to people that were older than me, and I was like trying to understand like their perspective, like would breaking up with this girl be the right decision for me? Like I've never done something like that before. And I had moved my entire life to this new city to be with her. I like moved all my shit there. And yeah, I was just really scared because I also didn't like I wasn't good at talking to girls, like me and her had matched on Tinder a couple years before that. And she was like my first girlfriend, which meant a lot to me. So I was worried. I was like, dude, like what if I never meet a girl as good as her? And I was really worried. And yeah, man, I was just like talking to my mom every day, trying to figure stuff out. And it became bad. I remember I this is crazy. Like I'm talking about the shit that like no one in my life knows about, and I'm posting it on YouTube. So if you made it so far in this video, I'm glad you're here, I guess. Um, I remember writing in a journal, like in a diary of mine, like around October 2022, that I didn't want to be in this relationship anymore. That I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to have sex with other women. I wanted to just like go and explore life. I wanted to evolve into another man. And like I needed to basically break up with this girl to do that. Because I wasn't going to do long distance, I wasn't going to just like travel around the world while like maintaining this like long distance relationship. Like that's just not even a relationship, bro. And yeah, dude, I wrote down all the stuff in that journal and then I left for the weekend. Um I left for the weekend and cuz I was visiting a friend. And then I noticed that my girlfriend was texting me less, and out of nowhere she was like going to the gym consistently for like 3 or 4 days in a row while I was gone. And I was like, something's up. Something's up. So I told her, I was like, what's up? And she was like, I read your journal. She was like, I know I shouldn't have done that, but like I read it, and I read everything that you wrote. And dude, I was like panicking. I was just like so scared that I was gonna lose her in that moment. I was in this Airbnb. It was like 10 p.m. I just like finished hanging out with my friend, and I'm calling her, and she's telling me this, and my heart is just racing because I feel like she's about to break up with me. And I was thinking about, the relationship ending, but I was like, not like this though, dude. Like not like this. Just her reading some vulnerable shit and then breaking up with me. I was like, this can't be the way that the relationship ends. And also selfishly, I was like, I want to be the one to end it. I don't want her to break up with me. I want to be the one to break up with her, have some whatever, I don't know, ego or whatever. Totally egotistical, selfish, whatever, but yeah, that's how I felt truly. And but she didn't break up with me, like we kind of talked about it. And I was like, I'll be better. I'll be better. It's porn, maybe I grew up watching porn, and I'm still watching it now sometimes, and that's why, I'm thinking about other girls. It's the porn. I need to be better. I'm gonna get a therapist. I'm gonna fucking figure this shit out. And I really, for like a month, I came back from that trip, and I was sitting home with my girlfriend, and I just be back into the routine, and I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking better man. And I was like, I'm gonna be a better husband. I'm gonna be a better, not husband. I wasn't a husband, but I was like, I kind of was trying to be like a husband. I was like, I'm gonna be this like really amazing man, this like stoic man, and I'm gonna like ignore my feelings and just really fucking be this like better guy, and get on self improvement and get a therapist and just like be this like stoic relationship guy. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, like I had that energy for like a few weeks, like maybe a month actually. Had this energy. But then, dude, I caught myself, a month later, I was having the same exact thoughts. I was like, fuck, man, I want something different, man. This isn't the life that I want. And it was already like November at that point. And I was crying more than I'd ever cried before. I remember crying because I had moved away, from my parents. And my parents also sold the childhood home that I grew up in, and they moved away to a different state. So that place wasn't there anymore for me to come back to. And their new place, it was like small, like it wasn't, I couldn't like go back and live with them or anything. I was like an adult now, 23 years old. And I remember crying because my dad, he had heart surgery back in 2020. He had like a heart attack and he had to get like quadruple bypass surgery or something. And yeah, I was crying because like the statistics for guys, like for men above the age of 50 who get that type of surgery, they only live maybe like 10 to 20 years or something. And I was crying because I was like, how much more am I going to see my dad? Like if I'm in Seattle and they're in Florida, literally the furthest apart I could be from my parents. How often am I going to see them? Am I just going to see them like for like a couple weeks at every year for the next like 10, 15 years, and then he's going to die? I remember crying and telling my girlfriend that, and she was like, "You can go back home, you can do all this stuff." But really, it wasn't like I wasn't even crying like only because of that. I was crying because like, I didn't want this lifestyle anymore. I didn't want this life anymore. This life that basically she built, and I was kind of in the passenger seat. I wasn't really living the life that I wanted to live anymore. I was just like sort of fitting into the cracks of her existence. I was doing music and I literally put my music studio in a closet. She didn't like the music equipment in the living room, even though she had a bunch of plants in the living room that I couldn't give a fuck about. But She didn't like music equipment in the living room. So I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. I'll put it in the closet. I was just sort of like a passenger seat in my own life. And I just knew that this wasn't sustainable, like mentally, like mental health wise, like I was going to collapse. Like this just was not sustainable. And Christmas happens and I end up going back home for a bit. She ends up visiting with me as well. She ends up going to visit my parents with me. Everything's kind of good for a while. I remember there was some sort of passion again for a couple weeks because we spent like a week or maybe 2 weeks apart. I went back home early, and 2 weeks apart, there was some sexual tension again. I remember she gave me roadhead, which she'd never done before. But I was like, okay, maybe this is salvageable. Maybe this relationship has more passion in it than I thought. Things got exciting for like a little bit in a couple weeks. New Year's happened, and then we get back to Seattle, and literally like 3 days go by, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, like I gotta get out of here, bro. I have to get out of here. This is not it, dude. And I spoke to a friend of mine, and my best friend, since I've known him since I was like 12, and he was telling me about his older brother who had just broken up with his girlfriend of 10 years, and he was 30 years old, and they were dating since they were 20. And his girlfriend really wanted to get married. It's been 10 years. She's 30. She's like thinking about having kids. And, he was like, at that point, it kind of came to that finish line for him where he was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't, like, this isn't my life. I can't do this. And he broke up with her at the age of 30, 10-year relationship. And I was like, dude, I don't want to be like that, bro. Like, it's either now or now. Like, if I'm feeling like this now at 23, God, dude, if I fucking kept going with this relationship for, imagine like 7 more years. And I had this conversation with my friend. And then I have my laptop with me because I was working at a cafe or something before that. And the feelings all go away, when you're on the phone with people, when you're talking to people, all the stress goes away. But then you hang up the phone and all those thoughts come back and you're like, I'm the one who's in charge of my life. Like, it doesn't matter, like, what my friends think, what my parents think, what anybody thinks. Like, no one's going to make any big decisions for you. Like, you have to ultimately, like, decide the outcome of your life, like, the fate of your life. And I was just so scared, dude. And I remember really kind of hitting this point where I was like, that's it. This is it. This is it. I need to, I think I need to break up with this girl that I've been dating for like 2.5 years that I'm living with. I think I need to break up with her. And I go to the lobby of our apartment building and I can't go upstairs because I know that if I go upstairs, I'm just going to be pretending to be happy, pretending to care about what she's talking about, like pretending to, just pretending. So I sat down in this chair in the lobby of this apartment building, and I've got the Wi-Fi. I go online and I buy a one-way ticket to go back home to DC. and it's a Saturday evening, and I get this ticket for Wednesday because I know that I'm gonna have to move out. You know, I'm gonna have to get my things. I'm gonna have to get an Airbnb. I'm gonna have to move all my shit out, send it back home or something. So I buy this ticket, and then I go on Airbnb, and I get this, room available that same night. And my heart, bro, my heart is beating like crazy, dude. $600 ticket, one way, like 4 days away, you know what I mean? Like shit like that's expensive, $600 ticket, probably like a $400 Airbnb for a couple nights, maybe even more. And I'm just like, yeah, man, I'm doing it. I'm fucking doing it. I get the Airbnb, I get the ticket, and I go upstairs. And when I get upstairs, my girlfriend is like making dinner or something, playing music, watching TV or something. Everything's normal. I, say hi to her. I say, what's up? I go to the bathroom. I take a shower. I get out of the shower, I put on some clothes. And my girlfriend is sitting on the couch eating some food and watching, TV. And I sit down next to her. Everything's fine for a moment, She's like, what's up? I'm like, no, nothing. Sitting there. My heart is beating like crazy. I'm so scared, dude. And then I tell her, I'm like, hey, I forgot how I said it, but I was like, hey, like, I need to talk to you about something. I need to say something. And she pauses or I think I said like, hey, can you pause the movie real quick? She pauses it, and I just say like, I don't think I could be in this relationship anymore. And dude, I'm so scared, man. I'm so scared saying all this stuff because at this point it's too late. Like I said it already. And I was like, I don't think I could be in this relationship anymore. And it sucks. It's like a shitty conversation. But it happens. I pack my backpack, of stuff. And I tell her like, I got a ticket for Wednesday, and I'm like trembling, dude. Like it's like one of those things where like I'm trembling. Like I don't know if this is the right decision, but like I'm doing it finally. And dude, like every fucking molecule in my body is telling me to like abort, abort this shit. Like take it back. You're going to regret it. Like what the fuck are you doing? But you just have to, I'm just like fighting through it basically. I'm shaking. I feel cold. Life doesn't feel real, bro. Like that's the craziest thing is that like reality doesn't feel real. Like imagine this girl that I was like waking up next to every single morning, going to sleep, brushing our teeth together, like just spending all of our time together, having so many amazing memories together. She's just my best friend, like just like such a big part of my life. But I know that if I don't, you know, break up with her and go travel and go do all these things I want to do, I'm not going to evolve, like I need to go do this. And, I'm just doing it. Break up with her and that's what happened. And for the next like month or so, I definitely was really emotional, man. Like I was regretting it a lot for the first couple weeks, I was kind of regretting it, and I was like, fuck, man, like I don't know, like this is really hard. But slowly things got better. Slowly things got better. And fast forward to 10 months later, I meet this girl in Argentina, and she's amazing. Like, honestly, like, she's like, immediately, like, as soon as I meet her, she's like, surprises me, like, how amazing she is. Just very, very, like, bubbly. Shit. Very bubbly, very extroverted, social, very perceptive, very, like, socially aware. She's so aware. Funny and pretty. Um, Everyone likes her, dude. Like, everyone likes her. And I meet her, and I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know how long I'll be in Argentina. This is 2023, September, October 2023. And I'm like, I don't know. I was only gonna, planning on being here for a couple months. But maybe I'll extend my stay. Who knows? And we start dating, and everything's amazing, dude. And it's 2025 now. It's November 2025 now, and me and her are still together. And I've been living in Argentina for like the majority of my time in the last, like, 2 years. And I just think back to, like, myself 3 years ago. Like, 3 years ago, it was November 2022, and I was that kid in Seattle who was just, like, so afraid to break up with my girlfriend at that time, because I didn't know if, like, that, like, dream version of myself was possible to achieve. Like, I didn't think that that dream version of myself was possible. And I was really, really afraid. I was afraid of never meeting a girl like that I loved ever again. You know, we all logically know that, like, there are plenty of fish in the sea, all that stuff. But when you're really in that moment, you don't feel like that's true. You're like, there's just no way. Like, how the fuck am I ever going to develop something so close to somebody like this ever again? Like, I just don't see it happening. And I just think back to myself, man, and I just want to give him a hug, dude. 3 years ago. Just give that version of myself a fucking hug. And tell him thank you for being brave, for having dreams and aspirations, and for seeing a better life out there for himself. And just fucking going for it, man. No matter how painful, no matter how scary it was. You don't have fucking any clue, bro, like, how scared I was breaking up with my ex, to pursue this, like, social evolution that I've gone through in the last, like, few years. I knew I needed to just evolve as a human being. I needed to shed my skin and just reinvent myself, because I had this vision of myself, a guy that I could be. And bro, like, I've basically become that guy. Like, I've become even a better, more accurate version of that guy 3 years later. So yeah, I don't know, man. Some of those hardest decisions in life lead to the most beautiful, unexpected outcomes. Some of the scariest decisions in life lead to the most beautiful outcomes. So just face that uncomfortable void